Welcome back to another powerful episode of the Prison Bosses podcast, the show where we don't just talk about second chances, we talk about strategy, transformation, ownership, and what it really means to become the CEO of your life. I'm the host, Trent Griffin-Braaf, and today we have a very special guest joining us, Mr. Sean Anchor. Sean's story and work sit right at the intersection of criminal justice, mental health, leadership, and personal transformation. And that's exactly the kind of voice we want on this platform. Someone who understands that change is not just about getting free physically, but getting free mentally, emotionally, financially, and spiritually. So before we bring Sean in, I want to take a quick moment to thank our sponsors, Industrial Bank. Um, Industrial Bank is not just a bank. It's the historic Black-owned financial institution that has been serving communities since 1934. It is also recognized as a community development financial institution, meaning its work is rooted in expanding access to financial tools, education, and opportunity in communities that are too often left off the conversation. And that matters deeply to us here at Prison Bosses because we know financial education is re-entry education. So Industrial Bank's Beyond Banking initiative has brought financial education to incarcerated people in justice impacted communities, helping people understand banking, saving, credit, entrepreneurship, and what it looks like to build a real financial foundation after incarceration. According to a 2025 feature shared by Industrial Bank, the initiative launched in 2016 has reached people inside correctional settings, including young people. And that's why this partnership makes so much sense to us here at Prison Bosses. Because on this podcast, we are not just telling people to come home, we're talking about how to come home with a plan. And so, how do you open an account? How do you rebuild your credit? How do you save? How do you start a business? I mean, how do you stop surviving and start to build on something? This is the mission. And we are proud to have Industrial Bank standing with us as we continue bringing these conversations behind the walls. And so you're sitting in. I hope you sit back, enjoy, listen, and understand that your past may explain where you have been, but it does not have to define where you're going. And the right mindset, the right information, and the right relationships, including the right financial tools, can help change the entire direction of your life. And so now, today's guest is someone who brings lived insight, professional perspective, and a heart for impact. Sean, welcome to the podcast, Prison Bosses. How you doing today, brother?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. Honored to be here. This is my third podcast in about a month, and I've been trying to be selective. So yours is definitely a big one. I mean, I see what you do. I see how you're impacting the people, those that are lost, those that are, they think they have to be a certain way. They think they have to live a certain culture, and you're
Facts.
trying to help change that. I love that.
I appreciate that, brother. And that's what it's about. Like you just said, you described it perfectly. And so tell us a little bit about yourself, like your upbringings, where you come from.
I'm from Chicago, from a place called Humble Park, Logan Square, and Bucktown. It's back in the day, it wasn't the best. 80s, a lot of crack. I don't know if you know anything about
Mm,
generational eras with drugs.
yes, indeed.
When I was growing up, crack was really starting to hit big in the streets.
These
Fortunately, it
baby?
got my mother. I was born in the 70s,
70s, baby. All right.
79,
Gotcha. All right. All right.
definitely. I was close. I was close.
Yeah, you were outside by the 80s then, early 90s.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was out there. I was actually taking a taxi in 85 when my mother tried to abandon me in the street on the north side of Chicago. So I was pretty aware of my surroundings back then.
Mm,
But I was grew up in Chicago in a very bad neighborhood. My mother abandoned me when I was 7 for good. She literally took me on a plane to Mexico. I'm not even Mexican. I know I look Hispanic, but at the time I didn't speak any Spanish. And she left me, my brother, and my sister. Well, she sold my sister to a family, which is why she went. And I remember her getting a cash of money, like pesos, put it in her purse, and we walked away and left my sister at a house.
Mm.
But she came back. We all made it back. Unfortunately, she became a heroin addict, whatever. But from there, yeah, I am too. But she's in her own world. But from there, I ended up just living with my stepdad when I got me back to Chicago,
Mm.
and he abused the crap out of me till I was 12 years old. When I was a week before my 13th birthday, he asked me like, or I asked him, "Why are you beating me and you don't beat my other brothers and sisters?" And he responded saying, "Those ain't your brothers and sisters." So you ain't my kid. I only picked you up because the police threatened to lock me up if I didn't get you too, because he had to pick up his other two kids. So I didn't
Mm.
know that the whole time. I'm thinking, oh, that's my dad. We're good. I got family. And I was like, maybe I just get treated like crap because I'm a bad kid.
Mm.
So from there, 12 years old, a week from my 13th birthday, I started living on my own. I
Mm.
slept on south side of Chicago, north side, abandoned buildings, stolen cars, their front porches, wherever I can find solitude, cover myself with blankets. And it got bad in the winter. I don't know if you know much about Chicago winters,
It was cold,
but it's getting
brutal.
60 degrees below. Yeah.
Oh my God.
So I had to figure things out. I started stealing cars and sleeping in those.
Mm.
I got caught as a juvenile with 9 stolen cars. So I did 2 years in juvie for that. And then when I became an adult in Chicago, you're an adult at 17. So
Mm.
I was 17 years old in Cook County Jail with the adults.
Mm. Dang,
And I
that's
ended up
rough.
going to prison, yeah, at 18. I didn't get out till I was 20.
Mm.
So I was 3 years there, my first bit as an adult, which was fun. I did a year of that in the hole.
Dang.
Yeah. And then got out, learned a lot. And one thing that I think prisons teach us, which shouldn't, and that's one thing I know you're advocating for, it helps us understand how to commit crimes better.
Talk about it.
It helps us meet people that have connections, maybe drug connects or plug or I don't know what they call it nowadays. And I didn't know that that wasn't the goal. My goal was to be
Mm.
rehabilitated.
Right.
So I
Right.
became a better criminal in essence and
Mm.
smarter.
Mm.
And I got out and started selling drugs, started cooking up coke and just making money. And that created a lot of enemies because obviously
Mm.
gangs don't want you in their neighborhood. So I ended up getting shot in both my legs. I got shot 2 months later in my lower back. I got
Oof.
shot 3 months after that in my
Sheesh.
back, neck, and head. Yeah, you
So how
can
many
see some of
times
the
in total?
scars. In total, 3 times, one, two, three, four, 5 parts of my body.
Dang, bro. Man.
I still have a bullet in my left leg to this day.
Mm. Mm.
But
Mm.
it was a learning experience. I had to remove 20% of my brain because it was damaged. Because when the bullet went in my neck and came out of my mouth, it tore my main artery going to my brain. So I had to relearn how to walk, relearn how to talk,
Oh my
pretty
God.
much start from a baby at 23 years old.
Mm.
And you would think that would make me a better man. Like, okay, I learned a lesson. Let me sit down and do right. But it made me worse. I became very violent. I didn't know TBIs do that, like a
Right.
traumatic brain injury.
Yep. Yep.
I thought I was just normal. So
Mm.
I got me into a lot more trouble. I ended up going back to prison at
Dang.
27 and didn't get out till I was 33. So that was a good 6 year bit.
Mm.
I lost my ex-wife, my two kids. I think she lasted 7 months while I was fighting my case in the county. She
Damn.
took all my stuff. She took all my money. And when I got out of prison in 2012, the only way they let you out of prison in Illinois is you have to have a place of parole.
Right.
So if you don't have a place, you either do your parole time in prison or you go to a parole shelter or halfway house or homeless shelter.
Mm.
I didn't want to be in a halfway house around a bunch
Mm.
of criminals, so I decided to go to a homeless shelter. So I was 3 years old in a shelter working for $8 an hour. And back in 2012, that was still pretty low.
Right.
People think, well, that was the money back then. No, it wasn't. People were
Mm.
making 20 bucks an hour still.
Right.
But that's where I started on a piss stained cot. And I remember the guy showing me to my bed in the shelter. And he's like, this is your cot. I'm like, do you have a blanket, a sheet? So I don't got to say, it's all piss stained yellow. And he said, no, your family has to buy you that. And I looked at him like, I swear to God, I was so mad because I was thinking, if I had family, you think I'd be in a shelter?
Right.
And
Right.
I had to take a breath and and I think that's the part of rebuilding your life is you need humility. So I just kind of looked at him, said, thank you, slept on that piss-stained yellow cot. I used my shoes for a pillow and just did that while I worked on my way up. I
Damn.
ended up buying two houses, getting a master's degree in business, a bachelor's degree in management, and I have 33 certifications in manufacturing and
Come on.
electrical.
Come on. So, Sean, real quick, one of the things I
Yes,
was going
sir.
to ask you is, so you got incarcerated young. So, as a youthful offender, you left home. Well, you were on your own since you were 13. So living in on your own in the streets,
In the
which
streets.
led to your youthful incarceration, which then, do you believe that was a gateway that led to you becoming incarcerated later on in life? Like, did that kind of put you on that pathway of being justice involved?
It led me to a culture of being justice involved. I believe that being in the streets, I had to be a part of the streets. And what's in the streets is gangs, drugs, violence, a certain culture. So I think it definitely put my mindset in that culture of ignorance, violence, and just lawlessness.
Correct. And now you also said that about the networking, and you made it a point to acknowledge how a lot of times when we become incarcerated, we start to network, but in a negative light. We're networking towards negativity. Let it be to be better criminals in whatever aspect or however we think that looks. Looking back at it, do you think that you might have missed out on opportunities then to do positive networking while you were there?
I think at the time I was so young and ignorant. I don't think I was focused on trying to better
Mm,
until my last sentence when I lost my wife and kids. And
mm,
I was that close to hanging myself in solitary confinement because I just beat somebody half to death.
mm.
And they were saying if he dies, I'm going to face life in prison.
Damn.
So I was pretty close to I don't know if you
Yeah.
know, I mean everybody knows what a noose is,
Mm-hmm.
but I tore my bed sheets into strips, braided a noose, and had it around my neck in Cook County Jail. And I was that close to walking off the sink to just end it. And from that point, I remember thinking to myself, I survived getting shot in the head, I survived getting shot in the spine and both my legs, and I'm gonna take my own life.
Mm,
And I remember feeling stupid, and I
mm.
screamed like a just pure anger. I screamed out really loud, and I'm sure everybody in the cell block was like, "What the hell is that?"
Right.
But I remember that, and I took the noose off from around my neck.
Mm,
I literally just thought to myself, what am I doing with my life? And at that point, I started to sit up straight. I started to think, if I
mm.
start changing the way I think my life will start to change. So I
Great.
had to hit rock bottom to change the way I look at things.
So now, did you have a relationship, or to this day, are you a spiritual or religious person? And did you have a relationship with your higher power? If so, in that moment, like, did that play any part into you making that decision?
I think I always fought against a relationship with God or a higher power.
Mm,
And in that moment, I think that was God or the spirit, or whatever it was. I don't know. I'm not very religious. I read the Bible twice, unfortunately. I had a lot of time on my hands.
right,
But
right.
I, um, I love the Bible. I love the book itself. I think it teaches us how to live life,
I'm with
but
you.
we're too ignorant to understand that it pertains to us and not
Mm,
something exterior that we don't see.
I agree with you on
I
that.
don't think it was just some guy sitting in a chair saying, "You get a life, you get a car, you get a
Right,
job, you go to hell."
right.
So I don't think that's the case.
I'm with you. I agree. And it's funny, not to get biblical or turn this into that direction, but they say
That's okay.
Bible stands for basic instructions before leaving earth. And so, to your point though, if people don't look at it as instructions for themselves, they look at it as something, that means something else, then they might miss the point a lot of times. And so, but you went on and you went on to say that you started to talk about mindset. And I'm a firm believer that through the mind, you could change anything. And I
Yes.
believe it starts with the mindset, which then turns into individuals taking action. That action then starts to then create a luck for yourself. And then as you continue to work harder, you continue to make good luck for yourself and things change for you. But I believe it all starts in your mindset. And so where were you going with that when you talked about your mindset and it's starting to shift?
When I was in that cell and I said just think about how I got there, I thought about all the inmates around me and the way they saw life, the way they talked, their culture. Everything was part of me. And at that moment, I realized, let me change that. So that's when I told you I started reading. I read over 400 books while I was incarcerated and out. Um, and what you're saying with the mindset thing that I love in the Bible, Book of John, chapter 1, verse 1, it says, in the beginning was the Word was with God, the Word was God.
Mm,
And when you think of your mind, when you say, I'm going to do this, you're creating the Word, you're creating that, and it becomes flesh.
yes, yes,
So I
yes,
love
yes.
that.
I'm with you. I'm with you, and that gave me chills. You also mentioned reading, and I think part of me changing who I've become came down to reading and coming down with the idea of that I just want to be a forever learner. Like I know there's so much information out there, and to waste or squander time doing BS when I could be learning something because I know knowledge is power. Also, knowledge creates opportunities for ourselves. The more we know, the more we know, and so I'm always reading too. And so you mentioned reading what was it, 600 books?
400 and something maybe. I lost count after a few hundred, but
Now,
I read night and day
do you still read a lot to this day?
every single day. Every morning, I've got myself into a routine. It sucks because unfortunately, I wake up every morning at 3:30.
I love it.
So
I love it. Talk that.
I
Yes.
hate it. It's good and bad because even when I say I'm going to sleep late tomorrow, and my wife's like, okay, great. 3:30, I'm up. I'm like, there's no alarm. I'm just
Yep.
up.
Yep.
And I'm
Yep.
like, I got to go back to sleep and I can't.
Nope.
So I
Nope.
still read every single morning.
Dang, I love it. Now, so and I'm kind of going over the place because you're just hitting on so many different actionable things that actually change people's lives. So now you talk about I love you saying you get up at 3:30 every morning because I'm the same guy. I just get up at 3:45 though every morning. And so 3:45 is my wake up time. I don't need an alarm clock. It doesn't matter if I'm in the East Coast, Midwest, on the West Coast. Like I'm gonna naturally get up at that time. My body's just primed and ready to go.
Yeah,
Part of it feels like my passion wakes me up every day. I don't need to be waking up. I'm driven. But the other part is because I have such a good routine. And I'm wondering, is your 3:30 a.m. wake up and associated with having a strong routine for yourself?
it wasn't on purpose. When I was in segregation and Menard's Correctional Center, they bring the breakfast to your cell at 4 o'clock, and they'll put it in the little chuck hole, slide it in,
Yep.
and come back around and take it back. If you don't eat it and put the empty tray back in the chuck hole, they're gonna take back your food. So we had a saying in there that said, "Sleep late, lose weight." So if you don't get up and eat your food by the time they come around to get your trays, you lose breakfast. So it
Mm,
took a lot of me losing breakfasts, and I just forced myself to wake up. And I've never been able to not wake up at 3:30 now. I feel like I'm going to starve. Fortunately,
mm.
I don't have the motivation to say, "Oh, I just got to get up because there's so much." I just get up, and I hate it. It's like
Said I
I
hate it.
know I should love it, but it's engraved in me now.
Yep, yep, yep. And so do you though stick to like a pretty do you have like a routine that you stick to on most days, like day in, day out for the most part?
Every morning when I get up, I decide to read. I brush my teeth, do morning rituals, get my coffee, and see where I can get on my computer, be productive, advertise, figure out what licenses, what certifications I can get to better my career. And just I'm always trying to do something, which I feel like it creates a problem with self-esteem because I always feel like I'm not enough, and I'm chasing this dream, chasing this person that no matter what I do, and even when I was going to school for my PhD,
Mm.
my wife's like, "What are you going to do after that?" I said, "Get another one." I don't know. I just can't
Can't
stop.
stop. can't stop. I think it's a disease, a sickness we have when you're
Yeah,
when you just want more for yourself. Like it's never enough. I say it's like we got blinders on, and so you don't ever get to really you don't never really sit back and look at what you've achieved until you're like, maybe celebrating moments really quickly. But it's always the next goal, the next thing ahead of us. And I think it's a good thing because it keeps us going. Because there's some people who are just unmotivated, but I love to hear like, so you came home and when you were released, obviously you didn't have the things or hadn't become the person you are today. And so what was your release like, and how did you start to position yourself to become who you are in the corporate setting, and just overall who you are today?
honestly, it's all due to education. I wouldn't be able to get a job where I'm at. I wouldn't be able like to manage people if I didn't go to school. When I got out of prison in 2012, I was on house arrest for a year and a half, and I had to do 3 years of parole. So when I was in the shelter, everybody there, it was 16 beds in that shelter. All of us were full. All beds were full. I was the only one to get up and go to work. And they would look at me and tell me, "You're crazy, dude. You're gonna work for $8 an hour?"
Hmm.
And I would say, "It's just a start. I'm fresh out of prison. I don't have anything. I got to do something." And I went back to that shelter a few years later when I started my company, and I drove there in my Lexus, and all the same people were still there. And
Yeah, yeah,
and they're like, "Man, can I get a job? How did you get there? Who put you on?" And that's one of the biggest things that drives me crazy. What you just said earlier, the hard work, the luckier you get.
yes, sir.
And that's that correlation. You work hard, you get lucky. You work hard, you get lucky. But if you don't work hard, that luck's going to run out. So that's all I did. And everybody there, I gave them my card. Nobody called me for a job.
Of course not. Of course not. Because it's going to be work. That's the problem, and that's the
Right.
reality. Like anybody could do this. It's just the amount of work that we put in. Like any level of success, the person didn't just land there. It always came down to some resolve and some hard work, and you just proved it through your story and the fact. I love I could see so many parallels because when I came home and my big break came from being a janitor at a hotel, and I took
I
that
know.
little my new opportunity, and within 5 6 years I was the general manager. I learned every role. I worked my way up. I just slowly climbed that corporate ladder. And I see, like in your story, like we had to humble ourselves. Like you came in at eight
Yes.
dollars an hour. You could have sat there and said, yeah, I'm not working for that either, but your mentality was it's only a start. And so after that first start, you get there, and I know you get to the Lexus, but I'm sure it took a little bit of climbing. And was it, was it because of the certifications and the degrees that automatically landed you into higher paying opportunities, or was it a
It was a,
combination? You go for it.
it was a little bit of both. When I was working at that factory for $8 an hour, I found a job at a moving company for $12 an hour, which is a little better. And I worked every single day that I could. In 2013, my first full year out of prison, I worked 360 days that year. That means I only had 5 days off the entire year. I
Damn.
worked 7 days a week for 4 or 5 months straight, and then
Mm-hmm.
7 days a week for 3 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
So it was
Mm.
every single day.
Mm.
But that dedicated is just hard work, saving my money, building my credit.
Yes,
Because
sir.
remember, I spent 6 years in prison, so I didn't have anything on my credit. So that kind of helped me a bit.
Yep.
I got my license. I never had a license till I was 33 years old.
Mm.
So just getting things on track and starting from the bottom helped me build the foundation. So
Yes.
from the moving company, I ended up, I could tell you the story. I told my boss I'm going to get my CDL because I got yelled at by an off-duty cop. I was blocking his parking spot,
Mm.
and he was an off-duty police CPD, Chicago police officer. And he said, "Hey, move that truck my way. I got to get in my spot." So can you give me 1 second? Let me secure my customer's belongings so I can move the truck and their stuff doesn't fall and break. His response was, "Move that MF right now, or I'm gonna lock you." And I'm like, "Dude, I'm just calm down." So I ended up calling the cops because I'm thinking, okay, this guy's threatening me. He's getting aggressive. And then the cops came and they're like, "Dude, you're just a mover. You're either gonna move this, or if you want to press charges on him, you're going to jail." I'm like, "For
Dang.
what?" They're like, well, you're on parole. So it flipped script, and the on-duty police officers protected the off-duty one,
No,
and then they drove off. And my customer, and I'll never forget this, it was an older white lady. She came downstairs to figure out why I wasn't making a trip with her furniture,
mm,
and she saw the cop yelling at me like, "So you're a piece of crap, you're this, you're that, whatever." She got in his face and said, "If you don't get away from my worker, I'm gonna get you out of the building or whatever." So he tried to talk back, and she snapped at him, and I felt protected for the first time in my life.
wow,
But
wow,
that next day, I
wow.
told my boss, I don't want to be a piece of crap mover, no offense, but I want to get my CDL and be somebody. And my boss looked at me and said, "You're not a truck driver." I'm like, "What do you mean I'm not a truck driver? I'm just gonna be a piece of crap?" He's like, "No, go to college." I said,
Mm,
"Dude, there's no way in hell I can go to college." Me being the crazy person I am, I said, "All right, it sounds crazy. I'll do it." So I walked up to the closest college, the Right University, and said, "Hey, what do I got to do to go to college?" They said, "Sign these forms, do this, and you're good. You got to take a test, placement test, and we'll see if we can get you started ASAP." That next week, I was starting for my bachelor's degree.
come on. That's crazy. That's crazy. And look at that, man. Look at that. How a chance encounter, that moment turned into the motivation and inspiration. You was like, nah, I'm going
Yep,
for it. And never looked back since. And you've gone on now to get your master's degree or doctorate's
I
degree?
been got my master's. I'm getting my PhD now.
Yeah, come
I got
on,
my
bro.
master's in 2022.
Mm, mm. Forever
10
learner.
years out of after getting out. Yep.
Forever learner. And I know it hasn't been easy. I would assume why, because I'm sure you continue working throughout the time you've been going back to school, and so it's been a constant juggle. But making no excuses for yourself, and I think that's so important for our listeners to understand. One, no one's coming to save us. Like we got to save ourselves, and it means if we got to educate our and don't. I don't know if you believe this, but I'm a firm believer in personal development, continued education, forever reading, and then the last one for me that's big is mentorship. Have you had any mentors or individuals who've been able to guide you? Because I know you've mentioned you have a large family, but not so much connected to many of which. So have you had just individuals or mentors that have helped you in any way?
I think that was the biggest help was not getting any help. Like you said,
Mm,
nobody's going to help me.
mm,
Like even in
mm.
prison, the guy next to me would have his mom, his cousins visit him, and they would get money, commissary, and I would sit there and struggle and watch the officer go by my cell every day. No mail, no mail, no, not even junk mail. And that was frustrating. But not having that support made me appreciate the humility of not having anything and working for it. I went from, $8 an hour and what is that, 400% increase to over $100,000 a year in just a few years' time.
It's possible.
So that was not having somebody hand me something. And I always tell people that they're like, "How do I get there?" I said, "Don't wait for somebody to give you the right to get that job. Don't
Ooh,
wait for your
ooh,
cousins, aunts, uncles, brothers, babysitter that got you in this facility or whatnot. Like you did. You were a janitor
right.
and you worked your way up. Nobody
Yeah.
got you that position."
Nope. Nope, I'm a firm believer. You got to take it like interception. You got to go out there, grab what's yours. And I'm also a firm believer what is meant for you is meant for you, but it doesn't mean it's just going to come and land on your lap. Like you got to be also working towards it. And then there's a perfect alignment at some point where those things collide. Um, Now, so you've been home now and you've, man, you I know you're an advocate. So let's talk a little bit about what you do today in terms of what is your day to day like look like. What's your professional title and like what are the things you're doing today?
I'm trying to keep my title as author now because I just wrote my book, but I'm technically a industrial maintenance manager.
Gotcha.
So I manage a team of engineers, electricians, mechanics, contractors, vendors. I deal with machine maintenance at a steel mill in Portage. So I'm actually trying to leave there and go from maintenance manager to director, superintendent. So I'm
Ooh,
still trying to move up. And people are like, "Why? You got such a good job." It's like, you'll never understand. It'll never be enough.
never enough. Why not? I always tell why
Right.
not? Why not? What am I supposed to do? Stay still? Because My understanding is you grow when you put yourself in uncomfortable circumstances. That's where we allow ourselves to grow. So why not push ourselves past our comfort zone at every single opportunity and never get complacent?
And
It's
that's exactly what I do. I believe the thing was, someone said, earning $1 million is not as hard as believing you're worth $1 million.
so true, so
So I
true.
try to do my best every day.
Yes, yes, yes. I love that you say that because I think that's the reality. A lot of times people are focused on the problem. And to go back to like when you talked about mindset, if we're focused on the problem, then we can't really identify or see the opportunities or the solutions, how to navigate through the problem. And so I like to think of, some of the most successful people have always been based thinkers. They're not going to get stuck in the why can't I? I had a class recently and I was talking to a brother who's incarcerated, and he was telling me by the time he comes home, he'll have around $20,000 in child support. And so
Wow.
he was like, man, I'm stressing. I'm gonna have that. So I looked at him. I said, bro, let me ask you this: are you only gonna make $20,000 for the rest of your life? And he looked at me, he said, no. I said, so then what's the problem? I said, let's go figure out ways to go make more money so that way you can pay that off and continue to live the life that you want. But if you sit here and all you're thinking about is I have this mounting debt, then you're going to be so focused on that you're never going to get started, or you'll never look for the actual solutions to get you past that. And so I'm just a component of that. And so I just think your story and what you've done, what you've came from and what you've worked yourself to and continuing to aspire to do is just super motivating for others. And I just
Thank you.
think you mentioned in humility a few times. What does humility mean to you? Like what's that definition of humility? I've heard you say it a few times now.
I say it a lot because when I owned my own company, I would hire young people and try to teach them to
Mhm.
work and make a living for themselves. And a lot of them would say, why should I have to do that? Or why do I got to start at the bottom? And I think that's where the humility comes from me, is if you can put your head down and accept what little you have and take your up the ladder, that it's endless. You never start. You're not going to wake up 35 years old and have a nice car, a great job, great career. You have to start like you and I did, at the bottom,
Yes.
and a lot of people will not accept that. And that's where the humility comes in.
That's so true, man. And that's why humility is so important. I try to start my day with humility and being grateful and identifying that, no matter what I might have or may not have, or what I am going through, that there's somebody who always has it a little bit worse. There's someone who always has it a little bit better. And so I'm just grateful for where I'm at with things, and, and for what I have. And I have no ego in terms of willingness to do whatever it is I would have to do to continue to provide for myself and for my families. And I think that goes down to it. Because I remember when I came home and my parole officer wouldn't let me drive, and because the nature of my crime was drug trafficking, and so he wouldn't let me drive, and so I had to take the bus, and that was humbling.
I already know, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when you have a certain, I guess the ego was in my ear. My friends is out here, they getting money, they got these nice cars. I got a car and I can't even drive the car because of PO, and here I am on the bus, and after a while became nothing. Now to the point, like, bro, you people be surprised. You catch me on a bus, on the subway, on the train, like I'm with all of that because I'm not above any of that. You know what I mean? Like all of that,
Yep.
it's about convenience for me. And if that train is or that bus gonna get me where I need to go faster than anything else, I'm gonna be on that bad boy every single time. And so, but again, a lot of people they can't humble themselves, or they don't want to humble themselves. And but they say pride comes always. I mean, something bad always comes before your inability to humble yourself. So that pride can get us in trouble every single time. Um, so now you've been home and released from prison for years now, right?
God, what is it? It's gonna be what's today? The third?
Third.
Next and on the 12th. So what is that? 11 days.
Mm-hmm.
In 11 days, it'll be 14 years.
Damn, bro.
It's
Congratulations.
amazingly fast.
Yep.
And I still, to me, I think 14 years and all I have is what I have. It's
Mm-hmm.
upsetting. And I know you're like, how is that? People, I'm helping my wife's family out. I'm helping all these people out, giving them money, giving them
Mm,
advice, helping them with
mm,
getting their license or getting a job with their resume. And they're like, man, I wish I can be like you. And I'm thinking to myself, you don't want to
mm.
be like me. I'm at the bottom. I'm trying to get up.
I'm
And
still
and I'm like, 4 years, I should have been way past where I'm at. And I know that's a weird thing to think, considering I had to relearn how to walk, relearn how to talk. I had
facts,
to
facts.
start from scratch. And then as a convicted felon, come out of prison,
Mm,
do house arrest, do parole,
mm.
and still kind of have a decent life. And I'm so against it. I feel so normal. I don't know if that makes sense. And like I compare myself to like Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, I'm
Right.
like, no, but look at them guys.
Nah, bro, and that's the
And
difference with the mindset. That's the mindset.
yeah,
That's the arena and in the challenge of where you want to go in comparison. And I think that's the 99 that's the 99% versus 1% mindset where
yeah,
99% of the people would be content where look what you've done. And I can relate to what you say. People all the time tell me, your inspiration or, look what you've built. And in my mind, I'm always
right.
thinking like I haven't really done enough yet, y'all. Like, there's still
Yep,
so much more I need to get done. And, so I get it. I think it's just our mindset, bro. And I also believe that comes down to confidence and belief, something that, we know that institutions and jails kind of take away from us is our hope. And so that's why this platform is provided to provide others hope and motivation to know, like, if two cats like yourself and me, New York cat, a Chicago cat, been able to go through what we've
yep,
gone through and come out on the other side and found any level of success that, is possible for them too. But the premise of what we've been able to do comes down to simple practices and simple principles and primarily hard work, being able to humble yourself, be educating yourself, personal development. What I like to say, Sean, I always tell people that life is the largest DIY project that we're ever going to be a part of. And so in a DIY project, it really comes down to you and the work that you're going to put in towards this project. And the key factor or the number one importance in this DIY project is ourselves. And so I just love your mindset, bro. And your continued growth and just the hard work and the things that you've been able to do. What do you foresee? What's next for you? Like in your future, what are some of the
Oh,
goals you're focused on?
I love that. I'm glad you asked that because my dreams are so darn big
Yeah,
that people are like, really?
yeah.
I want to be the next Eric Thomas. I want to be the next Tony Robbins. I want to be Zig Ziglar,
Talk it,
uh,
talk
Jim
it.
Rohn. I want to be Inky Johnson.
Come on
Like
now.
all those people, I want to be a part of their lifestyle
Yes.
and go out and help people and motivate people and say, I can't give you each $1,000, can give you each something that's going to help you make your $10,000 or
Yeah,
make you 100,000.
yeah.
So if I can give enough people in the world a chance to believe in themselves and do something for their life,
Mm,
then my goal is complete.
love
I don't
it.
want to die and know that, yeah, I made a living. I had a bad start. I had a very rough life. I had to do a lot of things different. And I made a life. I have life insurance. My wife, she's okay. I have houses. Okay, I'm great. I died. What did I do?
Mm,
None of that matters.
talk about
I
it.
want to be able to change people,
Yes,
and
yes.
especially the ones that are, like you say, incarcerated. They're, and I'm not saying only those incarcerated need help,
Correct.
but I think anybody with a mindset that thinks they can't do it
Mm,
without this, or I can't do this without somebody helping, or I'm not the kind of person to do that, or I'm not like you.
mm-hmm.
I'm like, dude, I'm half retarded.
Talk
You know what I
that.
mean? I'm not as smart as you think.
That's right.
And just let them see that if I can do it, you can do 100 times better.
I agree.
So
Nah,
that's my goal, is to motivate.
I love it. And I love the people you mentioned from the ETs of the world,
Yeah. Oh
um,
yeah.
the Zig Ziglars, like Just if you heard any of those names and you're not familiar with them, I would suggest you take a look at some of those individuals he talked about. All been motivational, inspirational, but all provide like real jewels. And I mean, they date back to black and white radio, even not even black and white
Yeah.
TV, radio even, and up to the
Yeah.
current day. And so these are people I listen to every day. When I was asking you about a routine, part of my routine is every day I listen to motivational videos, and individuals that you mentioned. Those are like some of my favorites that constantly come up on my YouTube page. And so again, just that's why I say it's just we're all doing the same things who people kind of deem successful or found success for themselves. And these are all actionable things that everyone else can do. um Before we go, I got a question for you when it comes to entertainment. And I'm a big fan of, well, I'm not a big fan of much. In fact, people say I kind of live in a bubble. Like I oftentimes I can tell you what's going on with the news. Like I follow like main headlines, but outside of main headlines, I'm not too caught up in news. I can't tell you the new Netflix special. I don't know whose album just came out. Like I tend to find out stuff really late because I kind of operate in my own world because I'm constantly guiding. I'm really trying to watch what I'm allowing in my ears, my eyes to see, which starts to formulate in my brain. And so, how are you when it comes to like those sort of things? Are you a big entertainment guy, or do you find yourself like shying away from that?
I can ask a rhetorical question and say, do you think, dude, I'm just like you. I don't know. Like people say, oh, you didn't get the new shoes, the new Jordans or Skechers. Well, I'm like, I don't know what's out. I don't know what's fresh.
You're right.
And like I'm learning words now. Like what was it? Flow. They're like, dude, that's old. I'm like, really? Like, well, I spent 11 years in prison. That's new to me. And they're like, no. And like this, I'm on fleek and stuff.
Yeah,
How
yeah,
old is
yeah,
that? I don't know.
yeah, yeah. Nah, that.
So I'm just like you. I don't know much about what's hip, what's cool. And it's funny because I got a foreign exchange student here, and he's from Italy. He lives with me and my wife, and he's so up to date with fashion, with what's cool, and he's teaching me things. And he's like, "How do you not know?" I said, "I'm not cool. I
Yeah.
don't fit in with that category."
Yep.
And I had to like eliminate everybody I know. I don't have any friends, any person that I associate with from my past. Everybody I know now, I met in college,
Hmm.
or I've known for the past 4 or 5 years.
Yes.
Nobody from my past is alive. Every single person I know is dead, in prison for life, has a shit bag. I don't know if you can say that online or,
Yeah. Yeah. You can
but
say it.
so he's like, yeah, you can say it.
Mhm.
But they're all messed up in one. I just lost the last person I knew 2 years ago at 47 years old. So
Babies.
I'll be 47 in 2 weeks, the 22nd of May.
Mm.
And I told my wife, yes, I'll make it to 47. I'll be the oldest person I know. She's like,
Mm.
no, you got to make it to 48. I'm
Mm.
like, damn. She just took my joy.
Took my joy.
So yeah, she's like, no, Kevin was 47 when he died. I'm like, oh God. So I'm not the oldest person I made it. So I'm hoping to make it to 48 and I'll be the oldest
Right.
person I ever know.
Which is crazy to think. And I mean, even that's still babies, like 40, 50 years
Oh my
old and still
God.
babies. But I think that's
Yeah,
another reality is we never know what the end date is. And, when you go and you look at a, a, a burial site, you see the day someone was born, the dash, and then the day they transition. And life is only that dash. And so, I tell people to live that dash to the best we can, be the best individual we can become while we're living that dash, and make a memory that outlads that dash as well as the end date. And I think that's what you're focused on doing, like you said, through what you're looking to do next, the work you're doing. And so a lot of times our listeners will reach out. Where could individuals find you? Like, do you have a social media, email address? Because they will reach out to you maybe with questions or tell you how you inspired them. And if you're open to that, where would they be able to find you?
definitely. I just started my own website because I'm trying to promote my book. It's Sean Archer Lives. So that's Sean Archer, SeanArcher. Just think of the guy with the bow and arrow, Sean Archer, lives.com. If you sign up, I think I got a registry thing where you sign up on it and it'll lead you to read the first chapter of my book for free.
Fire. What's so? Tell us a little bit about your book.
It's a memoir about my life, about starting off when I was abandoned as a kid, all the way to where I relearned how to walk when I got shot in my head, to my ex-wife leaving me. It gets a little more into detail. For example, when my ex-wife was telling me we can't stop selling drugs,
Hmm.
and I remember having a conversation with her, like, man, we got over 100,000 saved up. I can get a job. That's a great head start. I think we're good. And she was like, no, we got 6 cars, we got cell phone bills, we got this, we got that. We can't afford for you to work.
Hmm.
And I remember just listening to that and thinking to myself, like, I don't want to be violent. I don't want to be aggressive. Let me stop. Okay, I'll just be the dumb little monkey and just keep selling drugs.
Hmm.
So I did that, and I get more into detail of that, of how I didn't understand what I could have, should have, would have done. And that's why I decided to write it. I just lost my daughter, which I keep here on my neck. My baby girl at 8 months old.
Oh
She had
man.
a heart defect. My wife and I tried for 8 years to have a baby.
Hmm.
We finally had a baby in 2024. June of 2025, she died of a heart defect.
Sorry.
2 months after that, thank you so much. 2 months after that, I decided to write my book.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. No, I'm sorry to hear that. I'm definitely, man, condolences to you and the wife, bro. Definitely, I understand. Definitely tough. Um, the book does sound interesting though. Like even that little
It
cap
is,
that you gave around the story. So I definitely, so if they go to that website, they can get a free chapter. Is it
yes.
out yet now? Not yet.
No, I don't want to self-publish because I heard that
Yeah.
self-publish it takes a lot of money, which I can
Yeah.
do, but it's putting a lot of faith and marketing into something that I'm not a professional at.
Yep.
I'm
Yep.
not a literary agent. I'm not a publisher.
I'm with you.
So if I did it, I'm like, I don't want to have to relearn the process of
Yep.
publishing, of being an agent.
I'm with
So
you.
I'm trying to do traditional publishing.
All right.
So
Well,
I'm already scouting.
so that's awesome. Well, we're gonna connect offline because I want there might be some opportunities where we could support the book and get it into like some
Awesome.
youth detention centers and share that story that way too. So that way, if we could help motivate, inspire, and give some youth some actionable things from your story, I think it would be powerful. And so we'll talk offline on
Definitely.
that. And so
Definitely.
I guess, brother, we always try to keep our interviews within about an hour, and so we're nearing that time. I want to thank you again just for coming on today and sharing your journey with us, letting us hear some of your story. I want to encourage the listeners to definitely go check out the website and pick up your full autobiography and learn about your whole story and the things you've done. I think you're someone who's definitely motivating and inspiring to hear your story, the continued learning, the continued growth. You're very down to earth, someone I think people could feel and relate to. Sharing
Thank you.
the loss of, even down to your daughter, which, definitely I again send my deepest condolences. And
Thank
I'm
you.
just hope, you continue. I don't even hope. I know just from talking to you, I know what the direction you're heading. I know you're going to just continue to grind and continue to level up. And I just want to welcome you to the alumni of Prison Bosses, where it's an alumni of individuals who all of us have the same shared experience, and
Right.
come out on the other side. And so I want to welcome you to that alumni. I want to thank you again, brother. And anything, any way we could be a support, we're here to do so.
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it.
Most definitely. And so to the viewers, this has been another episode of Prison Bosses. I definitely advise you to take a look, spin the block again on this one. I think Sean has said some things that you could pick up from and learn from. I also, I think his story is just a story that just shows you that all things are possible when you have the right mindset, when you're willing to work hard, and when you continue to go out and educate yourself. And so it's something that those are things all of us could do. Those are all actionable things that each and every one of us, when we wake up, have a decision and an opportunity to do every day. And so, until the next time, as always, we pray that you stay safe. We're hopeful that, we were able to inspire you a little bit today, motivate you. And until the next episode, continue to be great. Thank you.